Welcome to another wonderful Roll for Crit. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes. I didn't know it was going to be wonderful.
Well, it's Christmas time.
Or I
so.
would have been more excited. Now that I know, so we've got a bunch of news today, as per usual. Last week, we also started off our podcast talking about Gen Con, and for some reason that trend will continue today. I guess they're kind of throwing out some news in a bunch. Not the fun kind of Gen Con news, but more businessy.
I don't know, that last one to me was very fun. It's the idea of having a...
Well, it's not like a new game or something.
True.
It's not fun for people who aren't going to Gen Con. Anyway, usually Gen Con has different sponsors. I'm pretty sure Asmodee is always like the biggest one. And
they don't own them? I thought Asmodee owned everything.
Yeah. And they just announced that they've got Rio Grande Games is now their newest sponsor to the group. Of course, make lots of things like Puerto Rico and Space Alert and
Arctic Scavenger.
Lots of games. Arctic Scavenger. Sure, you could go down the list.
Well, it's literally, as when I look at you, it's actually right behind you, so I'm like, well, there it is.
So what does that mean? It basically means they're going to have a bigger presence. They're going to have, I'm guessing, more booth space. They've got their own special, like, area where you can play Rio Grande games and things like that, and they're helping to support and pay for some of the Gen Con costs.
I think this is a very great idea, especially with the new expanded area. I mean, Gen Con, I felt, while always anything can use more room, compared to other conventions, is always quite big, so I'm very excited to see what they do here. Very curious also what Rio Grande's going to do, because a lot of times when I feel whoever the sponsor is, or a lot of them, will do something with really fancy booths a lot of times.
Well, usually also you're more likely to get like, you know, you might, with your lanyard or whatever, there might be better coupons to go there and get some stuff.
Well, also there might be like a lanyard, continue with like an Arctic Scavenger one or whatever the new game is from them, which might mean also they might be coming out with something new for Gen Con.
Well, yeah, you would think. That's probably true, because if they're putting the money into sponsor, they probably got something they feel good about.
That's very exciting.
Scoop! First scoop! Not really a scoop. Yeah, it should be. I was thinking about how Rio Grande, it seems like, is always the big board game company that we don't talk about as much. They're not like quite as in the same status, at least it seems like in our discussions, as Fantasy Flight and Z-Man and Days of Wonder. Well, but they do have a lot of big high-profile games.
I think, to me, at least when I think of them as a company,
they're huge.
The way not just the way their games look, the way their company, they don't seem to be like, look at me, I'm cool, new, and hip.
Yeah, they're like, a little more Euro-y.
Yeah.
More,
they know where they are, they're happy, we have good games, we are on a path, we are good.
All right, let's cut that one there, just in case. Yeah, no, they're a little, especially online, I think their presence is not as, like you said, like you said with that.
So I'll be very curious to see what they bring up here.
Yeah.
This is the exact opposite of what we're saying.
Right. Yeah. So maybe this is their start of their big push to turn that around. Of course, at Gen Con there will also be lots of tournaments. There always are. But you don't have to wait until then, or even go there if you want to join a tournament.
You love your segues.
Yes, I do. We've got WizKids, creator of games or publisher of games such as HeroClix and Dice Masters, and they do this thing, the WizKids Open, which is tournaments that take place in different, usually just local gaming stores across the country. They've announced the dates and the locations for that for 2016. The other big thing is that they're now going global. They're going to be, for the first time, European locations for these tournaments. And I believe, what's the other big one? Dice Masters? HeroClix? An Attack Wing. So all those. So maybe we should, we could go and sign up for a Dice Master.
This will be very interesting. Well, first of all, I would be very afraid of that, because I've seen how we play versus what I've read online. We will get crushed.
Yeah.
Second,
we certainly would.
I'm very curious about Attack Wing, because as we talked about, if you've been paying through all our videos, we talked about Star Wars X-Wing. And to me, that has seemed to be the really popular one. So I'm wondering if we just don't know anyone who's really into the Attack Wings, or if they're going to start trying to push it more.
I think it's got to have its group, because I mean it's been around long enough.
The other thing I'm curious about, because we haven't played it, we know there's a Star Trek Attack Wing and D&D. Can these mix at all?
I'm guessing in tournament play they're not going to do that. It just seems like that's the sort of thing.
But I'm curious if they actually, and I wonder if Dice Masters they'll have this is a Avengers vs. X-Men one only, or your entire collection.
True. I think again,
because I know it's from what I've heard, and definitely even when we've played it with the Dice Masters, that the Avengers versus X-Men one was definitely
People seem to like those cards a lot more.
Well, they like them because they're unbalanced.
Yeah, they're strong. But then I think
They're
the
too
opposite
strong.
happened, where people didn't like Uncanny because they were too weak.
But that's why I'm wondering, are we going to focus then more on the Spider-Man, the DC, the Light, the Yu-Gi-Oh? Granted, I hope not the Yu-Gi-Oh because I think those are poor-looking ones.
I do think it will be one set.
So you'll be forced to stay in a set.
But I don't know if they will have tournaments for each set, or if they'll phase out the ones from earlier, like you said.
No,
it's still pretty young.
I do think that's likely for 2 reasons. I haven't read much into this, so.
Right, you might already know.
Well, the last time I read was like, I think when the Yu-Gi-Oh set, like it wasn't when nearly as much as came out. Like right now there's a lot more. I had like 3 or 4.
There's 5 or 6.
When I was reading up on it, it was in the newer. But if you read some of the cards, they refer to sidekicks differently. So, which makes me wonder keywords. And then there's a card. This one I thought was very curious. One of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards says it has protection from every card that has the word dragon in its name. So if it goes against the D&D set, does it have protection from the green dragon, the blue dragon?
Yeah, there's a lot of weird little rules.
So like, that's why I'm wondering, like, did they know that these are going to mix that well? Or did they say, like, only all the Marvel ones are expected to mix and all the DC?
Like, my guess is that from their standpoint, they said, we don't want to deal with it. As far as we're concerned, a set is a set, because it's too much to keep up with the rest. I could be wrong. Maybe they do take that into account at some level.
Well, we'll see with these tournaments.
Yeah.
We'll see if there's a winning combination of, like, the Blue Eyes with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
So that's where I'm really curious, because I hope it does mix. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm most disappointed in the Yu-Gi-Oh set. Because what it did was, well, they didn't take advantage of the group circles. Like, and the only thing that, you know how there's like Avengers or Villain. The only thing, as I can see in Yu-Gi-Oh, is the Clock Wizard. I think that's his name.
Clock Wizards.
Whatever its name. Time Wizard.
Time Lords.
And the Baby Dragon. I'm like, why didn't you take advantage of like dragon symbols and like warlock? Like that would have been so good. Like all warlock dice you control, and then that would mix great with the D&D one for all dragon. Like that's my. I really think they dropped the ball on that set. That could have been such a good mix set
with that Yu-Gi-Oh set.
And of course, the pictures are literally just look like Google image search.
So go to a WizKids tournament, but don't play the Yu-Gi-Oh dice.
Well, no, play it, but just be very angry at them for doing a poor job at it. It's not that Yu-Gi-Oh is a bad idea. It's just that they didn't go through with it.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I'm with you. One game that will not be at any WizKids tournaments.
Okay, do you really need to? All right, moving on.
But would be good for tournaments in the future is Plaid Hat Games' own Ashes: Rise of the Phoenixborn.
That's right. We actually got to get a copy and mess around with it back at Gen Con.
You may have seen our video.
And we'll probably talk more about it later on. But they've announced 2 new expansions. If you don't know, the game itself is pretty much like an LCG style. Comes with decks, which each one is run by a Phoenixborn, and they have dice actually that you roll. You get 10 through the game, and you roll each round, and that's pretty much how you cast spells. Now, all the decks that come in the base set there's 4 different types of dice, and they each use 2 different ones.
Basically, they're your colors and magic.
Yes,
your energy.
Like 2 different colors, 2 different energies. Like one will be charm and nature, so on and so forth. These 2 decks that they're introducing are actually designed to be pure 1 color. So it's like a mono dice deck, which is very interesting. Yeah. The other thing that's cool about this is that I know there's a promo that if you get from their website or certain Plaid Hat distributors, which you'll check with your game store or whatever if they are or not. We'll get promos, which is really cool because I got the promo when we bought the Phoenixborn, so it pretty much gave me a whole new one. And now it's like, oh, how do I build a deck for that? Right. And which actually is really nice is they give suggested decks, like for the person online. So, and from what I've read on Phoenix, I don't know with these 2 decks, but I do know with everything in the core set, a lot of people say the decks they give you don't need to edit them. Like, they're pretty much spot on for each of their Phoenixborn.
That's definitely a plus for me.
No, well, that's great, and that's what I'm hoping from these, that they're strong. They're, like, a lot of times when I see a deck from Magic the Gathering or pre-made ones, like, excluding the Commander ones, but, like, usually the regular ones are like, okay, you know what, this is probably, it does its job, but, you know, I could easily, with a couple of packs, get some better stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, I like the idea that I could literally like, sure, maybe I can edit this, but I've got a really good deck out of the box.
Yeah, especially for us when we have 1,000 games to play. Like, who has time to be constructing decks anymore? Give me what I want to play with.
The thing I like about it is not even like time-wise, but like introducing it to someone. You don't go like, here's a simple deck. You feel like, here, I'm giving you a good deck to start off with.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and people, yeah, you don't have to open the box and feel like you got to spend like money or time or just be overwhelmed and not know what you're doing. Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward for these, and you can see their names there. But another cool thing is I know after these two, they're releasing a new like bigger box set with 2 new dice types.
Yeah. Well, no. So
we're probably going to see more customization as more new cards come out.
These ones are in April. Then they have another 2 at Gen Con, and then the one you're talking about I think is in like November, which is like a bigger set. And then they said their plan is to have 2 decks every 3 months as a normal schedule.
Yeah, no, the one thing I'm curious about, I don't. You tell me if you saw it. I didn't see it anywhere. Do these come with dice?
Not that I saw. I didn't. So because they use the colors already in the game.
Right, but I don't know because remember they're pure one color.
True.
So you can't fight against anyone using that color if you're using these decks with it. So I'm hoping they come with dice. I'm willing to pay the extra.
As far as I know, but I don't really know.
Well, to be honest, I'm actually already thinking because as far as I know, they don't sell dice separately. Like even getting another starter set. Because by the way, technically you can draft in this game. I should mention, but they say you need 2 to draft. But like I said, I like the fact that they give good pre-constructed decks. I think it'd be funner for us to just go into it. And also, but I want more dice, just so, and especially if these guys come out, I definitely want more dice.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I assume if they don't have dice, that's because they plan for them not to have dice.
Right. Oh, I should mention that while you can change things up, certain cards can only be used with their certain Phoenixborn. And the promos do come. I know the promo I got did come with a specific creature, or unit that can only be used with her. So I'm very curious to see what the new promo will come with.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good about us giving away promos with their games on their websites. Like they're incentivizing people.
No, and I mean this game's been a lot of fun. That's why I'm really looking forward.
Supposedly,
look at those boxes. They look so nice.
The reason they announced this now is because it's been selling very well for them. So they're like officially now saying we're going all in and really making this a regular thing.
No, I think it's a wise move. I think it's first of all. The packaging looks amazing. They did a great job there. The game itself is actually not difficult. Like, sometimes you read through SLGs and...
All right, enough gushing. Sorry. I'm bored. Talk to me about Magic so I can be on the edge of my seat.
Continue on with card games.
Oh, I thought we were doing away with segues.
Well, only yours.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, what's really cool is the new set, Oath of the Gatekeeper.
Okay.
It actually introduces something really big.
Talk me through it.
It's a new basic land. Throughout Magic, there's only been the 5. The plains, the swamps, the islands, the mountains, and the forests. Pretty much each one produces their color. You can probably guess which color is which. However, the new one is called the Waste. It's colorless. Like, technically...
That has happened kind of before,
We've already had colorless mana and things that require colorless, meaning, like, you can use any color.
But not an actual...
basic land that makes colorless. The reason this is important is every deck archetype, unless the card says otherwise... says you can only have up to like 1 or 4 copies of a card. Basic lands are exclusion. You can have as many as you want because it sort of would be hard if you can't actually cast whatever you're throwing. But for EDH, if you want to do a colorless general, which means you can only use that colored lands, there's no basic land for you to use. So you have to use all the expensive ones. This sort of makes EDH grow into a whole new category of commanders because now that there's a basic colorless land, that they can use that. The other interesting thing is, if you look at the other card that's on the shown here, it's the only card that we know so far that uses. It shows an 8, which means 8 colorless, and then 2 of the symbol.
That's a lot, or
that's
is that
on the
not a lot?
It's very big.
Okay.
This is one of the guys that are supposed to be like the elder gods in Magic.
Okay.
So it's sort of like
Eldrazi. Okay. I was gonna say Genasi. I think it's like D&D.
Close enough.
All right, go ahead.
But pretty much, instead of just being able to use 10 mana of any color, 8 of it can, but you have to use 2 actually from wastes, which makes things very interesting. I'm really hoping these wastes aren't just for the set and actually continue on.
Yeah.
As far as I know, there's very little. Like I said, this is the only card we know that requires that symbol.
I guess because this is the first time in 20 years they've actually introduced a new mana type, right?
It's the only time
ever, right? Well, yeah, in 20 years, like since the
because
game's
it's not exactly a new color. It's colorless,
Right.
but it's what I'm hoping they do is because what this does is a lot of cards that become very overpowered are the colorless ones, like the artifacts, because they can go in any deck. So you can do like 5 color and something weird. What this could do is put more of help the power curve in terms of these colorless items and make something stronger, but be like you need this wasteland type, which I think will bring a very interesting new meta to all forms of Magic.
I still remember how good the double colorless energy was in Pokemon trading
Pretty
card
much,
game.
yeah. Like that's
the
what
best card.
artifact because like there are cards that add 2 colorless, so you're like, oh well, I'm just gonna keep dropping artifacts at.
Right.
But if more things need this now, they'll make things much more interesting in terms of like, okay, I need to balance like my red and my green, but do I want to throw some wastes in to get those artifacts?
So it sounds like it's definitely either going to be something they do forever or they're going to drop it.
Oh no, yeah,
Because
yeah.
if nobody likes it, they're going to say, oh, pull back.
No, that's definitely. I mean, this isn't the first time they introduced something people hate it. They also introduced a new keyword recently called Surge, which is very interesting because it actually focuses on team play, which is very interesting. But we don't have a picture of that. But look it up. There's plenty of spoilers that will slowly increase as we get closer
When
to the
does
date.
this come out?
I do not remember.
2016, I assume.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So unless it comes out in the next 2
because
weeks.
there's only been very few.
So probably
movies.
like spring, March,
Yeah.
or something like that.
But it's very cool to see because this is, like I said, this could be if it's outside the set, this would be a huge change to the whole Magic game meta in every style. If this goes outside of the Oathkeeper.
Now, I don't know how we're going to come up with a segue for the next
Yeah,
topic.
no way.
So
It has nothing related to this.
we're not even going to try, but released just this week, or this last week for us, was Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest on your Android or iOS devices. So we've
Just yours.
Yeah, just your special. We've talked about this on the show before. Puzzle Quest was a game originated in the DS, become a big mobile thing. Basically, it's sort of like Bejeweled, but has more of an RPG battle focus to it. And they've made a lot of money by eventually making it kind of a more Facebook type of game.
Well, it does sort of fit that.
It does, for sure. And so this is the new version. It's themed around Magic. We kind of got a taste of it.
We played a little bit
got a
before, not enough.
brief
but
hands-on.
I will say I do want to play it more. However, I am very afraid of anything that says it's free to play.
Right. Well, first of all, what's the compared to regular Puzzle Quest, this is a little different because you actually have mana and creatures, and you actually kind of use them to block and defend.
What's interesting, I think, is first of all, comparing it to Puzzle Quest, you have an army. So there's much more of...
As opposed to just being your guy.
Yes. What's interesting on Magic, on the other hand, is that the creatures are, I want to say, sort of boiled down a bit more. Like, a lot of times when you play Magic, you play a creature, and it could have a lot of weird abilities, but it also can attack or block. In this, pretty much a creature, there's attackers, there's blockers, and then there's ones who attack other creatures.
Of course, this is not including any potential future DLC.
But from what we've played, it's very interesting because there's a lot more... You don't choose what to cast, it's whatever's the top of your hand. So there's a lot more like hand management.
Yeah.
And of course there's also spells and abilities, but the thing is, like, the abilities are on the mana... I don't know what they call it, where you switch all the mana jewels.
Right.
And your opponent can get rid of them by matching them with them multiple times.
Right, and this is also like your character has like a color specialty, so like matching green ones might be better for you and stuff like that.
Right, yeah. So I think for me, it was very fun. I like to see how much customization and how much I can mess around with it. I don't know. Do you know if we can actually play against each other? Or is it all?
I don't think there's a PvP component to it yet. But I could be wrong. But I do know about the some of the pricing stuff.
Oh, now
for sure, it'd be possible.
Now, what is the stuff that scares me?
Well, it's first of all, from what I've read, it's not so bad if you just play for free. If you log in often enough, they give you like a free pack once a week. So you actually buy packs. And like and some other stuff, like if you play for a long time. So it's not the worst as far as that goes. I think like at standard price, like you'll get like 5 packs, it said, for like $20 or something.
Okay,
I don't know how
look,
good or bad
all
that
right.
is.
Here's my following question. So
Your minimum spend is $5 to buy something.
are the packs different whether they're free or like are the ones I'm buying the same that I earn for free?
Well, it's randomized packs, so it's.
But there isn't some like here's the free pack and it's just like a
No,
more
it's
Okay.
like Hearthstone or like that. You're just.
And here's
just
my
a
other one,
chance.
which I think is a bit more important,
You
especially
might,
if you're a Magic
I could be
player.
wrong. There might be like you'll get a better chance of getting rares or something.
Okay, I mean I can understand, but I mean it's buying packs. That's not the thing that scares me as much. What scares me is, do I only get like 3 plays?
That I'm not sure, but it didn't seem like that was the case.
Because as long as you can just play a lot, that's usually not.
As far as I can tell, the only thing you're spending money on is more cards.
The things I hate are energy,
Right.
like when you can only play for a few days.
Right.
When to buy something you have to for free, you have to spend hours upon hours of playing, and that's still a random chance.
Okay.
I'm thinking if you remember the Marvel's Facebook game in which you'd have to go through a whole level, and then there's a spin roulette wheel for free stuff.
Yeah.
Packs don't bother me so much, mostly because I've already played Magic, so it's not like I'm.
Right. It comes. You gotta expect that.
Yeah.
It is also an in-game currency you buy, which again
I hate that
comes with the territory.
Yes. I hate it more because you know it's for tricky reasons. Is a rare guaranteed in a pack?
I'm not sure about that. I think
I would like to
maybe.
see the distribution. That's if a rare is guaranteed, like a regular Magic pack, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
But if it's like maybe every 10 packs you might get a rare, it's like oh.
Then it's like, well, because this is a puzzle quest game, like how valuable really are those rares? Like, can you just puzzle your way through it?
And the other rare thing is if there's no multiplayer or PvP, like do I really
true.
care that much?
Yeah, that makes it a lot scarier if it's like.
But I do love the idea of having. I would love the idea of like I took my turn, send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because it'd definitely would be even funnier to be like I take my turn, and then like maybe a day or two I'm like, I didn't. And then you send it back like, what did? Oh my God, I left that hole, and you just see how you just like took out like 6 waves of gems.
Yeah, I mean, if it's popular, they have to. It seems like a no-brainer.
No, I think it's a good.
All the other ones have multiplayer.
I really enjoyed the DS puzzle
them.
quest.
Yeah.
And I think this and Magic sort of go very nice.
It seems like fun.
Yeah.
It seems like fun, and it's free to download, even though it's free to play. So you might as well give it a shot if you like it or not. One more weird kind of news story for you.
Is this about the?
It is.
Oh, it is.
It came to our attention. We have people that report these things to us.
Yeah.
That they have published.
I mean, we're supposed to have people who report these things to
They
us.
have published a Star Wars themed love letter game, but it has thus far only seen a release in Russia. It is published by AEG, but we assume it has something to do with some strange licensing deals that are in place.
Of course, I forgot. Because isn't that like how Fantasy Flight got around their Star Wars thing called Imperial Solid Miniatures game?
Yeah, there's there's all kinds of weird things like that. So, but there does exist, if you're willing to buy from and read Russian, a Star Wars themed love letter, and of course, Princess Leia is the princess, and
Really?
the stormtroopers are your
So
soldiers.
is it based off the old Star Wars or new Star Wars?
It looks like it's all old Star Wars. I've seen Luke.
I would like that. And in fact, that's even funnier with the soldiers, because you know how the soldiers is a guess?
Wait, soldiers a
You
guest?
know, in Love Letter, the soldier.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh,
guess.
a guess. Yeah,
so
yeah.
so literally the stormtrooper shooting blindly.
That's true.
That's perfect.
That's very good. That's thematic.
And then Darth Vader actually makes perfect sense if he's the minister, because he gets angry if you're too strong. It actually works really well. All of this.
I like the way you're thinking.
Han Solo, the general, because he switches things and stuff, because he's a smuggler.
Yeah. What property doesn't work perfectly with
Obi-Wan
love
the
letter?
wizard, because he's Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
No, this one.
Or
actually,
Yoda. That could.
Oh,
be,
oh my! Yeah, I just imagine Yoda now. Just.
Well, anyway, we should import a copy.
I think we should now, because this all sounds amazing.
That'll be our next Star Wars themed playback for the month, maybe. But that's our weird. That's all our news. There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff.
Oh, a lot of great stuff.
Even better. We actually have, it's a rare treat these days, a topic of the week to discuss this week.
From an article you read.
Yes, this was inspired by an article from toynews.com, which we'll put a link to, which was talking about the idea of living toys and using them with board games. And by living toy, if you're not familiar, what we mean is this is something that's become common and popular in video games.
Amiibo, Disney Infinity, Lego Dimensions, Skylanders.
Those are the ones. Any of those are basically an action figure or a toy that also does something interactive with a digital interface.
Right.
And this article put forth that that might be some place that board games should try to go to next. And we've sort of seen things kind of in that vein like Golem Arcana, but nothing really that's gone full scale in the same, or embraced in the same way that Disney Infinity or Skylanders have done.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you read this article, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically...
So, all right, here's my question.
Okay.
How is Star Wars X-Wings not the board game equivalent?
I think because an X-Wing is this... I think what this article wants is more of that digital component.
Oh, so you mean something that uses digital with board games?
Yes,
okay.
so you would...
Because I thought you were thinking more of like you buy a figure that introduces more into the game, like, well, that's miniatures.
Yeah, that's true. Then it's any expansion basically. But no, I think that and also there was also a part of it that I don't know if I agree with as much, arguing for more of a refined, higher quality look. Like those toys tend to look pretty nice. So they're saying for pieces in general in board games to like have that better finish.
First of all, like we described in our video, we think the X-Wing chips look amazing. So we know they're out there.
Right. If you're paying, $10 a pop or whatever for them, they're willing to put the work in.
I think it's almost like we do already have them through miniatures, but the idea of just getting figures and throwing them in. Mm-hmm. But the idea of when you throw in the digital component is a whole new area. It's not even like do we need living toys with digital components for board games. We just need more digital components in board games. I'm trying to think if there's certain games I would want more like that. What I think I would like is almost digital board games. Like, I don't know if it works with physical. That are more take advantage of like online features maybe.
On like a tablet, you mean?
Yeah. That can maybe use these living figures and a better game. The examples I have for something that's too short is the Amiibo Party, which is literally what's the description? Roll a die. On 2 you win, on the odds you lose.
No, and the Mario Party 10 had a similar kind of thing, which basically was, I think, kind of what this article was getting at.
But what I think has done what I want more people to take advantage of is Dokapon Kingdom, which is like more like a board game, but is much longer, is more like an RPG. In fact, to do a shorter game is pretty much you just set a time limit instead of actually playing out through the entire story. And I think that would be much more interesting. Like, so imagine if you had a gamepad, you can all take turns online, but you could be like, if there's a little card scanner, so like you can buy a pack. Let's say you buy a little figure pack, a living toy pack, that comes with a character, but has some armor pieces that you scan in or something. No, like I think it's possible.
I think that's definitely the place you would want to use these is things with campaigns, because those are either campaign or like miniature style or LCG style where you're like battling and building better armies. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't really I don't think it makes as much sense in a game, like Catan or something where it's just you're just introducing new elements can be a little weird.
Well, it might be. This is a really weird idea. If there was a board game, do you remember a while ago we talked about the Hasbro was, I think they were calling it Star Wars Risk, but it wasn't Star Wars Risk.
Yeah.
It's where you actually, parties on Endor, parties in the lightsaber.
You can find that now too. Yeah,
right. Like, what if there was a game where you bought the toys, like it was let's stick with Star Wars here, Luke Skywalker. And so you actually had a physical board where you used the Luke Skywalker toy to move around. But he came with a thing when you scanned him, you got an X-Wing, and there was a digital component when you're fighting in space taking turns. So in essence, you're playing sort of two games. One's the digital.
That's cool.
And that way you can maybe, if there was something like you wanted to show that you wouldn't work well, like you wanted we talked about this in Star Wars game, how it was sort of funny the collision worked, because technically you're in 3D space,
right?
But we're on a flat board. So you could actually use the digital component to actually show yourself taking maybe a 45-degree turn or something.
That's definitely
And then the
cool,
figures, so the
yeah.
figures would give you a physical component for the actual physical board, but also a digital component.
The other, I guess, could complement that or be different alternative would be to actually have spaces on the board that are actually a digital, like a scan code, and when you put your figure in a certain place, it does something, but then you'd have to still link it to a laptop or a tablet.
And the
or
biggest
something
problem with
after.
that, and my idea, is where I think is going to be very hard to see if this ever happens, is price.
Yeah, well, for consumers or for the designers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, first, there's the price of coming up with the idea,
Right.
which is a pain. And second,
Knowing that it's going to be successful.
there's knowing it's successful, so it's very hard to convince investors. All the stuff, especially what you said with the board with part digital,
Right.
very pricey. I mean, Digital Arcana is pretty. How much does that go for?
At least it's like 60 or 70. Yeah,
Right, so-
it's pricier.
And then there's the other big thing, which I know Golem Arcana has hit, at least last I talked to someone about it, is making sure it's available on many different devices.
Right.
And finally, this is the one we have sort of ignored, but out of the ones all the living toys listed, only one of them, in fact it's sort of a half off, is not from an already very famous copyright. Nintendo figures, Disney figures.
Yeah.
Everything else for like
Even Skylanders is
No,
Spyro.
that's why I said it's a half. Well,
Yeah.
not really anymore. But like it started
Sure,
off
but
like
they were just in case they had him in there.
right. No, so like then are we gonna have to wait until we see figures that already exist? Are we gonna be like, is someone gonna take the plunge and try out with a whole new universe or something?
Yeah.
Well,
maybe like I was thinking like there are some franchises that maybe board game exclusive that like you could have the Ashes or Netrunner living toy extension maybe or like similar games like that. For some reason in my head I'm thinking of or like I don't know, like Sentinels of the Multiverse has branched out into a bunch of different
that one
game
actually,
types.
I think Sentinels has a very good chance because they have been.
There's a few
they've been
that
testing a lot more than I feel. I think.
Munchkin.
Well, Munchkin, that's obvious. I think would be interesting D&D.
Oh yeah.
I think would be
for sure they have the franchise power, definitely.
I think probably the two very likely three. I think the three most likely candidates for this. Well, each one for a different reason. Two of them are very similar. WizKids and Cryptozoic. Those both are very good on the copyright front. And Fantasy Flight is very good on the miniature front. So I'd be very curious to see that comes from them.
Yeah, that's true. I could see Fantasy Flight maybe, well, not really, but if anyone wanted to do it, they have Star Wars, so.
No, yeah. And like I said, my idea works really well with the idea of the Earth battle and the space battle.
I was also thinking, you remember when they had like the giant tables, it's a giant tablet to play a game on? That could be it, but nobody has those, so that's not a thing.
And well, there's one other thing we didn't take into account, which would definitely change everything.
Can't wait.
When VR becomes regularly accessible. Because think about if you had the figure, you put your goggles on the table, and it actually. Because do you remember PlayStation? I think it was PS3 had a game where they attached a camera and actually a card game.
Yeah.
But it scanned the cards so you could see them on the TV. So imagine VR. You had the figure, and like you put like maybe on a 3x3 table, so you mark it, and then it like scan it and then make.
It starts getting up and moving around.
So I think that's actually the best chance of board games hitting this living.
I'm sold.
Game is when VR becomes a generally accessible thing, because I don't think VR is going to have a lot of different headsets, so it's not going to be nearly as hard to try to make it compatible with everything. Should they go down in price, I expect a lot of people to get them.
Oh yeah, I think that's a given.
It allows you to do things with your game to like graphically to make things a lot more interesting while still having some nice figures. It still, I think, gets the idea of a board game of sitting around a table, we're sitting here. I mean, hopefully a little better than that D&D one we showed a little while ago.
Untested.
But I think that would probably be this best chance, because otherwise I think it's way too expensive to do the other ideas we mentioned.
Yeah, certainly at this point in time, yeah, like
and
it's
risky.
A very niche experimental thing. Yeah.
Well, I did forget to mention, which would be sort of interesting. I don't know how it worked, but the I think it was Yellow Games, the one where your phone's the boat.
Right, and we do
in
forget.
which the living toy component would actually be phone cases.
Yeah, like everybody does have widely speaking, a smartphone now.
Except our friend Garrett.
The VR could replace the VR. You look through the screen.
Right.
They could do things like that. So there are maybe ways around it right now.
Well, I mean, there's always those I think it's Google that does it, the cardboard ones where you put your phone in. So yeah, it's not a far stretch. But I think that's the easiest way for board games.
Yeah.
A very cool way.
I don't know if living toys are necessarily, like this article kind of implied, like going to be the savior of, or even a big component, but
of
board games in general, the industry.
No, I don't think they're. I find, even though I love these ideas, I don't think anything are going to happen. I think board games are already on the. From what I can tell, they seem to be on the rise.
Yeah, I think they're okay with. They're like happy with where they are, kind of, more or less.
Well, I mean, they could always grow, but I think
stagnate.
I think living toys seem to be really huge, but I think we're sort of not there. I don't want to say stagnate. I just think it's gonna.
It remains to be seen.
If you're not these big ones, like how it's not like saying board games or deck building. You know how there's hundreds of deck building you can name. Well, I don't think we're gonna say living toys and hundreds of living toys.
But also, in 2 or 3 years, Skylanders might be Beanie Babies. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Who knows how long it's gonna last?
Well, I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how. I think that these living toys, even though not really board game, I don't think Disney Infinity is gonna go down. I think Disney's too big and very much. I think that they do a much better job. Nintendo has been doing very well, but I think they got to keep this momentum, or they're going to lose it very fast. Because one of the big reasons there's a Smash line. Their Smash Brothers line is pretty much at its end. So they got to come up with a lot more games with a lot more, I guess, usability. Skylanders, I think, from what I can tell, the problem is its audience isn't as big. Disney Infinity and I think Nintendo's have hit.
I think also now that Lego's coming in, there's a lot more people competing now, so it's harder.
And the other thing with Legos is Lego's playing the almost like we're gonna just try to get every copyright we can.
Oh, that too, yeah.
I mean, I was talking with Neil earlier. I was like, I already have Amiibo, so I don't want to get into Lego Dimensions, but I sort of want to just buy the Jurassic Park one. And
right.
So I think they're gonna get that a bit more of the older audiences actually.
All right, let's.
So I don't think board games.
No more video game talk on our board game podcast. Let us know. So we think it would be awesome, but probably not going to happen. At least not anytime soon in any big, meaningful way.
I should mention. I think we posted this. It's sort of funny. The Amiibo party. Someone actually made a physical copy, which true. I think, judging by the way it looked and how he did it, actually looks better.
Look, we'll put a link to the Amiibo board game. So that's like a middle. That's a missing link between the two. But before we go, we do have some reader comments that I want to get through. Viewer comments, reader comments that I want to get through really quick because we're probably going long already, and because we got a bunch. First of all, we put up our X-Wing and Armada videos from the last week,
which means we have another Star Wars game. I wonder what it is.
One more. Look forward to it. There was one monster of a comment from Jim Kelly who left. Got to be the longest comment we've ever received on our X-Wing video. This is an X-Wing pro. Plays every week. So he had some words of advice.
You should read this. In other words, this is. You want to know about X-Wing? This is coming from someone who's actually played it a lot. This is where you're gonna want to go.
No, it's some really interesting stuff. Basically, he agreed with us that it's not that hard. It's a simple game, easy to get into. It was his first tabletop game he ever played.
Oh, tabletop. That's
Yep.
Good place to start.
He had some suggestions.
Or bad, depending on your view.
Suggestions for new players that you shouldn't use the obstacles, that you should only play with 1 to 3 ships, etc.
I think that's a good idea.
Get used to it. And then, not to go overboard with the upgrade cards until you're familiar with the game, which their tutorial, I think, kind of does that for you in the Fantasy Flight game.
Well, I definitely think, like we said I remember when we were setting up the Rebel side, even when the 2 sets combined versus the Year side, because I was just like, I'm done. Meanwhile, you're like, I have 4 ships.
And also, he pointed out that we were talking about all the expansions. He said one of the biggest reasons some of the expansions are so popular is actually more for their upgrade cards.
I had a feeling.
Than it is for the miniatures.
No, I had a feeling, because after playing this, I'm like, I wonder how many people get this because R2-D2's in this or something.
Right, yeah. So it's interesting that's a big...
it's actually really funny right now. One of the most wanted ones is the most wanted.
Right.
Or at least last...
And finally, we made some mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
So First of all, I think we made some reference to the Scum and Villainy faction. In fact, they cannot. I think there's only. I think Boba Fett is an exception where he has a different card for certain sides, but for the most part, Scum and Villainy is its own thing.
Oh, it is.
They do not work.
Oh, I thought
on
they
each
were. I
faction
thought they were
side.
supposed to be each. Oh, interesting.
So we've been.
Oh, that shit.
We've been corrected on that. Fan corrections.
Huh. Well, now that I know that, I'm looking through all the ones I know that are.
At least not an official play, of course.
Obviously, I mean, unofficial play. I could have a typewriter with money and Falcon.
And I think we missed a rule. I think about when you're collided with another ship, you're not supposed to take an action. I don't really remember, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did that once or twice. So.
Yeah, well, you tend to always forget one rule.
Right. It's like a tradition. If you can find the rule we missed in every video, write us, and we'll give you a prize.
The prize is Jonathan acknowledges your existence.
And then we had our Armada video, Rapture's Demise. Love that name. Loved your Gundam idea.
Yeah. See, it's a great idea.
But was afraid about the money that it would cost them. Understandably so.
I mean, yeah, but the interesting thing is, Armada-wise, I'm very curious because while Gundam has a lot of fleets, what I like to use, I don't think, while there are a lot of single units, I don't think you can use them because Gundam, I mean, if you know X-Wing, there wasn't a lot of like one X-Wing in terms of small ships. And the mobile suits, the Gundams, or whatever unit, you wouldn't have one set. I guess technically in the Gundam universe, they did like do mass production of a couple of them, but then we're getting the really extended stuff. So
right.
But it'd be very curious to see them too.
Falcon Ash K agrees with us about more sides with X-Wing a little bit more than Armada. Partially his reasoning is simply the cost of the game versus how you can, for the price of one Armada core set, you can get started a lot easier with like a core sets plus some expansions for X-Wing. So that's definitely one barrier to entry for that. And then going back to last week's podcast, he also supported me in my being tired of hidden role games that all look the same. So that is basically that. So we always appreciate your feedback and your comments. We love reading them. We love hearing from you.
No, we love, like we said, we love hearing when we do something wrong.
Yeah.
So please let us know.
Especially when you write 10 paragraphs like Jim Kelly.
No, that's great. Because that's actually just we'll put a link to it.
That's good for anyone watching that video.
Well, yeah, because that's exactly because
it does our job for us.
Well, it's nice because we're trying to show the game what it looks like, especially in the starter sets. Is what we do. And what he's doing is he's helping provide that extra step of saying like, yeah, look, this is some starter things because I've played this game a lot more.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's very hard to go through all these games. We can't, spend hours.
Ours was a novice's perspective.
Yes.
So how can they ask more questions, leave more comments?
Well, of course, it's always contacting us at rollforcrit@gmail.com. Great email address.
Yeah, or you can get us on Twitter at rollforcrit, our personal Twitters. Or you could just leave a comment right here on YouTube. It's awesome.
Well, while you're at it, you should just click the subscribe button.
Yeah, that'd be
And of course, if you want to see more videos and articles, you can check out our website, rollforcrit.com.
Yeah, lots of podcasts. Yeah. And we sell games.
So a lot of the ones we mentioned or will soon be selling.
X-Wing, Armada, Love Letter, all kinds of things. We didn't talk about Crossmaster. That's kind of another sort of, it's like a miniatures game, I guess.
It is a miniatures game.
They look like amiibos. Anyway, tell us about Crossmaster.
Whether you think it's possible for how we sort of, I wouldn't say as much as living to a game as much as the digital interacting with toys for board games, if that's a reasonable idea. Is the VR idea even possible? I mean, do you think there's a future? Or do you think living toys are just really stupid and a money grab? Let us know.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think that's going to do it.
Yeah. So keep an eye out for that last Star Wars video before you see the movie.
Stay tuned. It's going to be coming out this Thursday, opening night. So
but for now,
be prepared.
I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this has been the Roll for Crit podcast.